Yo, what's going on? What's poppin'? It's your boy, Mr. Locario, the bad boy of the dating game. What's good? So, in this audio/video, I want to explain what game is. Okay, I'm going to be talking about what having game is, what playing games is, what the game actually is. So I'm going to be getting into all of that because a lot of people get confused when we talk about game. You understand? They just don't know what it's about. They don't really understand, and they get these little misconceptions about what it is, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first read a quote that I put on Facebook the other day, and this pertains basically to the dating game. Because when we talk about the actual game, and I'm going to get into this later, but the game basically represents life. Okay, so but I'm going to get into that a little bit later. But what I want to do is read this quote, and this pertains to the dating game. So it says, most people do not understand what game is. Game is skill and strategy. Everyone technically has game. The question is your game weak or is it tight? Usually we say a person has game if their game is tight, and a person doesn't have game if their game is weak. So you can have two guys, one whose game is tight and one whose game is weak. They can both get women. The difference is the guy whose game is tight will have more options, have more sex, and usually have more attractive women to choose from. The guy whose game is weak usually has limited options, usually takes what he can get when it comes to sex, and in most cases has average to below average looking women. So when a man steps up his game, that means he is learning what he can do to improve himself, which improves the quality of women he attracts. The choice is up to you as to which guy you want to be, right? And the reason why I even wrote this was because on Facebook, you know, a lot of guys are talking about, oh, you know, all this game stuff is nonsense. You don't need game to get women, and all you need to, you know, it's all about if she is attracted to you or not, and blah, 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 right? So what I want to do before I even start to, you know, delve deeper into this, right? First, we need to talk about what game is, right? Now, there's three main different things that you need to understand. I'm going to talk about so you don't get confused when we talk about game, right? Now, one thing you have is the game. Now, the game represents life. Okay, that's one thing. The second thing you have is having game. Now, having game basically is your skills and having a strategy to accomplish a goal that you want. You understand? So it's your skill and your strategy to accomplish that goal. That's what having game is, right? Now, playing games is using manipulation to accomplish your goals, right? So the game is represents life, right? Having game is the skill and the strategy that you use in life to get what you want. And playing games is when you're using manipulation to get what you want. Okay, so I just want to make that clear so that you understand, because when I'm talking about this, we're going to be talking about these different aspects, and then it'll start to make a little bit more sense to you, and it will, you know, show you why the game is important and why having game is important. You understand? And the thing is, you know, a lot of people, you know, the reason why people are confused sometimes is because people get having game and playing games mixed up. And I'm going to talk about that in a second. But first, I want to talk about the game, right? So when we say the game, we're talking about life. Okay, so life is a game, right? And the game is life. So it's basically the game represents life, right? So when we talk about the game is basically different facets of life, right? So when you hear me on these videos and all the other stuff, and I'm talking about dating, I'm talking about the dating game, right? Now, let's say if I was talking about, you know, how to get jobs and stuff and how to get hired, then I'll be talking about the employment game, or, you know, the job game. Now, if I was talking about, you know, the music business, how to become a rapper, a singer, and get a record deal, I'll be talking about the music business game, Do you understand? If I'm talking about sports, how to, play basketball, football, whatever it is, I'm talking about the sports game, right? If I'm talking about being an entrepreneur, running your own business and all this other stuff, that's the entrepreneur running your own business game. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it's all these different facets of life, all these different things in life, and that is a game. Do you understand? So when I'm talking about on these videos is the dating game. Now, when we talk about actually having game, right? That is your skills and the strategy that you use to accomplish your goals in the game. Do you understand that? So it's the skill and the strategy that you use to accomplish your goals in the game. So let's say we're talking about the employment game. You trying to get a job, right? So let's say you're trying to get a job somewhere and the job is like, hey, we need someone who knows how to type and use Microsoft Word and knows how to, use social media or whatever. So your skill to get that job would be to know how to type, to use social media and all that other stuff, right? Those are the skills needed to get to have that job, right? So now what is your strategy to get that job? Right? So your strategy might be, okay, well, if I'm trying to get a job, got to make sure I type up a resume, get my resume tight, make sure I, dress in a suit and tie or whatever when I go to the interview, probably learn something about the company. So, I'll have some questions to ask them about the company, so your strategy is how you're going to accomplish this goal of getting the job. Do you understand? So again, having game is that skill and the strategy you use to accomplish that goal, right? So let's say even with the music business, right? You have, like, let's say in a lot of these artists, they do certain things and they're showing you, they're basically their skill and their strategy right in front of you, but a lot of people don't pick up on it. So let's say, for example, in a music game, you have someone like Drake or Jay-Z, right? So their skill is, rapping, making words rhyme to beats and all that other stuff, right? So, but Drake and Jay-Z is basically like arguably the most popular rappers out there, right? So what was their strategy to make that happen, right? Now, they have a lot of different strategies that they use, but one of the strategies that they use, if you notice, is they both basically did the same thing, where to keep their names out there, to keep their names in the public and to keep them up at the top, what they've done is they would, as they gotten popular, to stay popular, they would see the new rising rap stars coming up and they would hop on a song with those rappers. And since those rappers are popping, then and their singles are popping, they'll jump on a remix or whatever, and then that gives more light to Drake or Jay-Z. So for example, you have a Fetty Wap will come out with his song, and his song is popping us all over the radio. Drake jumps on the song, and then so now they're gonna rotate that shit. So now it's making Drake, stay in the limelight. And then he finds another, rapper that's coming out, maybe one of these new dudes that's from Chicago that's blown up or whatever. He jumps on their joint, or he promotes them, and that also promotes him. Jay-Z did the same thing when Kendrick Lamar was popping, and Jay-Z got on the bitch Don't Kill My Vibe remix. You understand? Kendrick was the new dude coming out who was popping. Jay-Z jumps on it. That gives Jay-Z more shine, which gives him more celebrity, which keeps him on top. You understand? That's a strategy. You see what I mean? So that's them having game. That's them, making sure that they stay out there and they're using a certain strategy to accomplish that. You see what I'm saying? You can even say, another facet of the game is like the video model or the video hoe or the video thought. You have chicks like Amber Rose and Blac Chyna, and what they did, Amber Rose, she got with Kanye West, and got her shit popping, people know her now, and she ends up, getting with Wiz Khalifa and, getting pregnant by him. So now she's famous and she has some child support and, you know, to use. And also she's probably getting money here and there doing whatever the hell else she's doing. Right. But Amber Rose went from nobody knowing her to being, you know, basically a celebrity just by using a certain strategy of, okay, I'm going to fuck with these rap dudes. I'm going to, you know, be their girlfriend. I'm going to get pregnant by this dude. I'm going to keep my name out there. That was her strategy. Same thing with that chick, Blac Chyna. She got with Tiger. They got, you know, a kid together. Her name stays out there. Now she's married to one of the Kardashian dudes, and then her name is going to keep popping. You understand? So that was their strategy to get them to that point, right? So this is what we mean when we're talking about having games. So when we talk about, you know, the dating game, and we talk about, you know, you being able to have game in the dating game, we're talking about what is your skill and what is the strategy that you're going to use in order to get yourself to a certain level. Because basically, like I was saying in, you know, in the post, everyone technically has game, but the question is your game weak or is it tight? And the thing is that if your game is tight, right, then you are in a better position than someone whose game is weak. You understand? So, you know, when you apply it to any facet of life, right, if your game is tight, then you will go above and beyond other people whose game is weak. So if you have somebody who, you know, is trying to be a business person, a businessman or woman or whatever, and they're being an entrepreneur, what's going to happen is that the person whose game is tight as far as being an entrepreneur is going to make more money. Their business is going to be in a better position versus someone who is an entrepreneur, but the game is weak, where they're struggling. They're, you know, they don't know what they're doing. Like things are falling apart like every 5 seconds. You understand? Like they're not really progressing in the way they need to progress. Right. So it's the same thing where if you have someone who is trying to get a job, the person whose game is tight understands what they need to do in order to get that job. The person whose game is weak is probably going to have a harder time finding a job, right? So basically what it is and what determines if a person's game will be tight or weak, what determines if a person has game or doesn't have game, is the amount of knowledge that they have. You understand? It's about what they know, because what you know will get you in a better position than so if you know certain information and another person doesn't know the information you know, and you guys are in sort of that same game, then you're going to be above and beyond that person because that person doesn't have the knowledge you have. So when we talk about the dating game, this applies to it too. So if you have specific knowledge about the game, about the dating game, then you will be in a better position to benefit from the dating game versus someone who doesn't have that knowledge. So, you know, when guys are like, oh, well, you know, this game stuff is stupid and you don't need to know anything and it's all about looks and blah, 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 blah. Those guys don't have the specific knowledge that they need in order to progress to that next level, in order to make the game benefit them. You understand? So the thing is that when you're talking about game and, you know, like having game, you have to understand that you will get out of it what you put in, and also you will get out of it, you know, what whatever, like with the knowledge that you know, the things that you know, the stuff that you know about the game, that's going to give you a better, you know, situation. It's going to benefit you more because you know more things than the average person in that game. But the thing is that a lot of people don't understand how important game is, about how important having game is, how important getting your, you know, making your game tight. You see what I'm saying? Because once your game is tight, then you can make stuff happen in a way that will benefit you more. You understand? See, the only reason why you are not getting what you want in certain aspects of your life, because you need to make sure your game isn't tight. You need to tighten up your game. That's basically what it is. It's really that simple. It's really that simple. But see, what people don't understand is, they get confused when they talk about game, because they think that game or having game is the same as playing games. And that's the distinction that, people don't, they don't want to investigate that, because as soon as you say, oh yeah, you need to step up your game. You got to, make your game tight. As soon as they hear game, people be like, oh, but I don't want to play games. We're not talking about playing games. We're talking about having game. We're talking about keeping your game tight. There's a difference between having game and playing games. Having game is your skill and your strategy that you use to accomplish your goals. Playing games is using manipulation to accomplish your goals. Now, your manipulation can also be seen as your strategy, right? But the difference is between, playing games and having game is that having game is when you basically, use the tools that you have or the knowledge that you have to get yourself from point A to point B to point C or whatever it is, right? Playing games more so relies on lies, deceit, fraud. You understand what I'm saying? Stuff like that in order for you to accomplish whatever goal that is you're trying to accomplish. But usually, when you're playing games, or when, a man or woman is playing games, let's use the dating game, for example, you understand? These people will lie or manipulate or cheat or whatever to accomplish that goal, because their game, them having game is not really their strong point. So they have to play games. Do you understand? A person who plays games has weak game, because if their game was tight, they wouldn't have to play games. So for example, a dude who's playing games might, he'll get with a chick. He'll know that she's the type of chick who's looking for, like, maybe she wants a boyfriend. She wants a committed relationship. She doesn't just want to hook up or whatever. And he'll say to her, oh, but, girl, I really like you. I really see, us going places and doing things and yada, yada, yada. I could see myself with you. So then he has a believing that this can go down. But all he really wants is, some sex. So he's sort of manipulating her into thinking that, it's going to be more than just sex. Like, they're actually going to try to make a relationship happen. So then he has sex with her, and then, he doesn't call her for a while. And then she's like, what the fuck? What's going on? And then she's hitting him up, and then she doesn't hear from him for like a couple weeks. And then all of a sudden he calls her back one day to get together. And he's like, oh, baby, I was real busy. My bad. Let's get together, blah, blah, blah. But he's only getting together with her again to try to have sex with her. Right. So he gets with her. He's like, yeah, I really want to be with you. He's talking that shit again. You feel what I'm saying? Then he has sex with her, and then he doesn't call her for a couple of days. And now, so the thing is, he's playing games in order to accomplish his goal, which is to get sex. You understand what I'm saying? So then to her, she's like, damn, this guy is basically playing games. So he's manipulating her into thinking that it's something more than just sex, just so he can get the sex. Right? So that's the difference between playing games and having game, because if he had game, he would have a skill and strategy in place in order to acquire sex without having to manipulate. You understand? So people get game confused, having game confused with, playing games. They get confused the actual skill and strategy that is needed to accomplish the goal. They get that confused with the manipulation that people use to accomplish the goal. You see what I'm saying? So that's the difference. But what you got to understand is, when it comes to, having game, you having game basically, which also means, having a game tight, and you not having game, which can be synonymous with having weak game, by you basically having game, you can benefit like tremendously off of what you're trying to do. It's really that simple. And this goes for any, thing in life, not just trying to get girls. You see what I'm saying? So when guys are like, oh, this game stuff doesn't work and it's bullshit, they don't understand the game. And when I say the game, again, that's the facet of life. They don't understand the dating game. Because if they understood the dating game, they would know that it's not just about looks. It's not just about money. They would understand, the way that women are attracted to certain things, to certain guys or whatever. They would understand, why a chick would reject a dude, why confidence is important, like all these different things that you need to know. So the thing is that if you know this, if you understand this, if you practice, approaching girls and interacting with women and doing these things, and you get real world and real life experience doing this stuff, then you'll understand how real game is, or having game is. Because again, like I was saying in this post, everyone technically has game, but the guy whose game is tight is going to have a better experience than the guy whose game is weak. It's really that simple. And it goes all across the board. Any type of thing you think about in life, when a person understands that part of, the game, and they apply the knowledge, they will get far. When a person is in that particular game and they don't know anything, they don't have the knowledge, they are limiting themselves. It's really that simple. Like there's really no magic trick to this shit. There's no, the reason why a lot of guys get confused and think, oh, this game stuff is nonsense and it's stupid and blah, 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 and all this other stuff, is because a lot of times what they're looking for, or what they're, trying to accomplish, they're looking for this like quick fix to the game. They're looking for this magic formula to the game. It doesn't work that way. Right? Because the things that you need to know, those are things that you have to work on in order to, benefit, in order for you to get things going. So when we're talking about the dating game and you getting chicks, you need to understand that, hey, if I tighten up my game, I have to do A, B, C, and D, and I have to do it continuously, and I have to, be consistent and keep it going in order to get better, in order to see better results. Right? So that's pretty much what it is about. So I hope you didn't get confused. Remember, we're talking about the game, which is synonymous with life. We're talking about having game, which is your skill and strategy to accomplish a goal. And we're also talking about playing games, which is the manipulation. All right. So that's pretty much it. Let me know what you guys think, and I will holler at you later. Remember, the truth is inside you. Peace. I'm gone.
All right, now before you click off this video, I need you to do 3 quick things. First, I need you to click the link below to send me your questions, because if you have any questions, I'll answer them in a video. 2, click the link under that to get my free ebook, The Magnificent 10 Crucial Dating Tips for Men. Gives you 10 tips on how to attract beautiful women. And number 3, I want you to click the link under that to go to badboymembership.com, where you get 45 through 90-minute audio and video tutorials every month. Hey, what's up? It's dating and life coach Mr. Locario. Go to badboymembership.com and master the dating game by joining my Bad Boy Membership program. In this program, you'll receive 45 through 90-minute, easy-to-follow, step-by-step dating advice tutorials that's guaranteed to help you attract, date, and have sex with beautiful women. Join the Bad Boy Membership today by going to badboymembership.com. That's badboymembership.com.